So I had no idea I was going to be on vacation this week. Well, I didn't know till really late last week, or I probably would have made a few other videos. Which is why the audio sucks right now. I'm trying to talk as quiet as possible without sounding like I'm whispering to you. But it's a difficult task, so I'm going to do my best. And luckily for me, we're starting off on a really short game. Well, short in the review sense, because there's not much to it. So this game is called Spectrolite. It's a free-running, first-person parkour game. Think of Neon White or Ghost Runner, but not as good. Well, this game basically gives you no story. You have no idea why you're there, just the fact that you need to run from point A to point B. You're following kind of a hologram in this very dull, white room that is just, I don't know, it's so boring it almost put me to sleep. And this is supposed to be a high-action type game, but there's some issues with it that are even more than just that. Well, once you make it out of this purgatory of a tutorial, the game actually does open up and looks really good. In fact, it's really impressive how it goes from basically just white to these beautiful popping colors, skyscrapers, trains, all sorts of crazy visuals going on as you're parkouring your way through the levels. Now again, they don't really ever open up anything on the story. You don't know why you're there or why you should care or anything. And I think that that's a huge problem. See, with a game like Neon White or even Ghost Runner, you have motivation. You actually do care about the narrative and what's going on. Just because a game is more balanced towards action doesn't mean you can just give up the story. I mean, I guess that I could see if this was just a one-off or is a multiplayer game or something like that, but it doesn't really offer that. I don't even notice it being something that really tests your time too much. And maybe I just suck at it, but I never noticed any sort of incentives or achievements about running through a level quickly. Didn't really have it. So what was the point of this game? Just to show off what it can do as far as parkour? Well, I guess that's cool, and there's not a lot of games that actually do that. And to be fair to the game, graphically, it actually does look pretty good. But aside from not having a story, there is another huge problem with the game that I at least experienced, and especially during the tutorial, and also while there's some crazier stuff going on screen in the main game, and that is frame rate. It is not stable. It drops, and it's really noticeable when it does, and just kind of ruins little bit of the game you're trying to immerse yourself in. And as I said before, there's no real immersion through story or narrative or character or anything of that nature, so when you are able to just kind of envelop yourself in this game, well, then you have some sort of frame rate drop or something like that would happen, and it just, I don't know, it never really connected for me. I played it for longer than I thought I would, and if I wasn't reviewing it, way longer than I thought I would, and there were times where the game was really enjoyable, but there were so many times when it wasn't. And I guess I just have to say, if you're gonna make a game that has no other elements to it, no real story, no real characters, really not even an explanation of the biomes or anything, but all you have is one mechanic, then that mechanic had better be perfect, or as damn near close as it can be. We already talked about the frame rates having an issue. Sometimes there was a little bit of issue with the graphics, but I'll let that go. But the thing is the parkouring. There was so many times where it just wasn't hitting right for me, or the little air bubbles that they have or whatever that you go into and it'll shoot you further up into the air. I just go flying through the bubble because even that is not really set up right. You see, they have this bubble that you can get into that are kind of sprinkled throughout the levels. You have to hold R and release R and it'll shoot you. Well, R is also your jump button. So you're kind of double clicking here. It would have been so much better had they made your jump button or the action button a different button. It would just make more sense that way. I would have also loved to be able to run in this game, but there's no button for that either. It's very basic and simple, and yeah, when it does click, it clicks, I'm not gonna lie, but there's so many times where it doesn't, and I really feel like this game needs a lot of work. One of the things that they teach you early on is the wall running. Well, when you're wall running, you have to look at the perfect spot where you need to land. And a lot of times it's okay, but even the tutorial itself, to actually finish it and get into this other area, you often miss. And nothing drove me more insane than not being able to slog through this long, boring ass tutorial. And then you're kind of welcomed into stages that are sort of the same way. And you know what you're supposed to do. You're basically doing everything that you can do, but for some reason, mechanics just aren't working or something, and you keep slipping or just coming up a little bit short of where you need to be. It's frustrating, and to be honest, not fun. Games like Neon White just felt so much better. In Neon White, the parkour was actually really fun, and you felt like you had a lot of control. In this one, it's not. It almost feels just kind of like a chore that you have to do, and it keeps going and going, and everything, even simple, kind of can become an issue. And this is my issue, my biggest issue with the game, is that there's no consistency. Whether it be frame rate, or even different parkour abilities, or navigation, none of it is very consistent. I just feel like that's something that misses the mark for me. So if I was going to rank this game and put a number grade on it, I would say that unfortunately this game gets a big 4 out of 10 for me. Just no elements to the game outside of one, and that one not being that great. Yeah, I appreciate the beautiful graphics that it has at times. I appreciate the scenery and all of that, but it's not enough to carry it through to being something better than a pass. Like, this just is not it for me. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Spectrolite. Let me know if you guys have checked it out, if you have any thoughts on it, anything and everything down in the comment section. Much appreciated. Love y'all. Bye-bye.